eThekwini is where we turn our attention to now, and some families whose houses were destroyed by last year's floods are unhappy that the municipality has not offered any help. Over 400 people died in the province when the rains, which started on the 8th of April last year, battered many parts of Kwazulu-Natal, but eThekwini suffered the most, with roads, bridges and houses collapsing. Now, of course, this led to many people being housed in shelters, in halls and tents for months, prompting calls for assistance from the national government. It left communities across the province without essential services like water and electricity. Thousands of homes and businesses were affected and destroyed. And yesterday, eThekwini Mayor Councillor Mxolisi Kaunda assessed the progress the city has made to repair infrastructure that was damaged by the floods. And to discuss this further, we've got the eThekwini Councillor Mxolisi Kaunda, the mayor, with us this morning, as well as Inanda community member Ngiphiwe Luthuli, who is in a community and is talking to us about how things are in that community. Mayor, firstly, thank you very much for joining us, and Ngiphiwe, also a very warm welcome to you.
Morning, Leon.
Thank you very much for having us in your program, and good morning to all the viewers at home.
Absolute pleasure. It is a pleasure. So, Mayor, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with Ngiphiwe, just to get a sense from on the ground what life is like for some of the communities. So, Ngiphiwe, this question is for you. It's now been a year since the devastating floods. Families lost their houses in Inanda, and they say they've never received any assistance from the government. Are you able to tell us a little bit more right now?
Yes, I am, Leon. Well, firstly, I would like to say good morning to everyone. I'm sorry. As a resident of Inanda, I haven't seen any progress made by the government. The people that lost their lives last year, most of them had to bury their loved ones all by themselves. Those that lost houses are living with family members. I am renting, so I went from living in my home to renting. So there's nothing much that they've done after the floods that happened last year.
So from your perspective, you feel that in your community, nothing has been done?
Nothing has been done here.
Okay.
Nothing.
Mayor, let's bring you in, because yesterday you had a concise briefing just talking to exactly what has been done. And it's hard to say, and we cannot say that nothing has been done when it comes to the whole of eThekwini. But there's certainly areas that have lacked dramatically, such as the one that we're hearing now. So Mayor, perhaps you want to talk to us. Let's not necessarily focus on the positives, as I imagine you'd want to, because there are many. There's been a lot that's been moved forward, but there are still communities that are suffering right now. What's being done to help them?
Yes, thank you very much. If we look at the magnitude of damages and devastation that we had during the floods in April and in May this year, and looking at the journey which we have traversed as a city in restoring services to our communities, we are told by those who have researched that the rainfall that we received in eThekwini was last seen in 200 years ago. So looking at the magnitude of damages in our bridges, the roads, water infrastructure, sanitation infrastructure, it shows that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But we are happy and excited about the journey that we have traversed, because immediately after floods, we had to reprioritize our budget. We could not wait for the national funding or provincial funding. We had to prioritize the amount of 500 million rands in our own budget as a city. And that budget enabled us to restore some roads to the maintenance standards that were enabling people to cross over to those areas which had no access. We have also restored some of the water infrastructure in the city, since we have now increased the supply of water from 40% immediate after the floods to more than 90% in all corners of our municipality. And we have also made a commitment that will remove all committee members who were located in mass care centers. Those committee members were removed before Christmas last year, and our commitment is that by end of 2024, we'll be in a position to build houses for all of them, those who were affected, including those who were not residing in community halls, because we acknowledge that there are communities who were housed by their relatives, by their friends, by their churchgoers. So that on its own, we do have a list of communities which were affected. So we are now starting the process. We've identified 8 parcels of land to rebuild houses of people. Those places are safe places because we've conducted our assessment that we need to guarantee their safety when we return them back to their houses. Yeah. The other element which we must also talk about is how we have responded in terms of restoring power. After the floods in April and in May, we lost about 100 power stations in the city, which were severely damaged. But we can proudly report to the members of the public that all of them are now up and running as expected. So we are able to service our communities. Okay. Yes, of course, there are outages in some areas which are informed by vandalism, people who are stealing our cables. Those are things which we are dealing with the SABC and Metropolis.
So, you know, let's look at a few of the other issues that are plaguing you right now, because if we look at Action SA, they've instituted a civil case against the eThekwini municipality, and this is regarding the sewage infrastructure crisis that resulted in the pollution of most of the rivers and beaches, which of course adversely affected tourism over the summer holiday seasons. Now, the Zubera Institute for Research and Development also issuing a statement saying that you lack capabilities to lead the city. So as much as you say you've done, there are gaping holes as to what you haven't done, and these are getting the attention of a lot of people. So what do you have to say about this in response to the issues that I've just mentioned?
Indeed, the sanitation issue impacted negatively on our tourism in December during summer holidays. But during Easter holidays now, last week, we had a number of people who were swimming in our beaches. Out of 23 beaches, 19 of them are up and running, and the water quality has been assessed. It's good for people to swim and usage of those beaches. So it shows the efforts that we have put as a city to restore our infrastructure. We are not yet done. We still have remaining beaches which are closed, which we are working tirelessly to restore services in those areas. Look, the magnitude of damages and the money that we allocated, it is only now that we have just received 1.5 billion rands, which will then enable us as a city to be responsive to many areas where we have not yet touched our foods. So it's important that communities also acknowledge that with the limited resources, we have done what we could have done as a city to ensure that we restore services. And we are happy that we have protected more than 40,000 jobs for people who are working at the South Basin area, in the industrial area of the city, since we have restored their power stations in that area, and we have resolved the issue of the piping that was broken by the floods, and we are also dealing with the roads that are leading towards that industrial area. So it shows the record of the implementation of our plan to restore services in the city. So we are proud of that record. Looking at the period of which we are, most of the cities which have experienced such disasters in the world, they were surprised when they saw eThekwini recovering within a short space of time. And we are proud of that record. Of course, there is work in progress. We have not completed everything, but we are on course with our plan to restore services.
Well, let's continue to take a look at the situation in eThekwini a year after the flooding in the area. So some families are saying that their houses that were destroyed by last year's floods, they're unhappy, and the municipality has not offered any help. So we know 400 people died in the province when the rains, which started on the 8th of April last year, battered many parts of Kwazulu-Natal. But eThekwini suffered the most, with roads, bridges and houses collapsing. Let's reintroduce one of our guests that is with us today, Inanda community member Ngiphiwe Luthuli, as well as the mayor of eThekwini, Councillor Mxolisi Kaunda. These are both of our guests. So, Ngiphiwe, thanks for your patience and hanging on the line for us here. I just want I imagine you've been listening to the mayor and the monetary constraints that they've had, working with their 500 million that they say they were given. They've now been given an extra amount of money, which is 1.5 billion. The reasons that the mayor has given right now, is that good enough for you? Because I know that you registered 46 flood families in villages in Inanda, and not a single one of them have received help from the eThekwini municipality. And you're saying only people living in the townships had been helped. So perhaps you can give us a sense of what the villages are feeling and perhaps what the mayor has just said. Has it helped you in any way?
Okay, I understand the mayor. I understand that there's a lot of families that were affected with the floods last year. And I understand the pressure that he has in making sure that everyone is helped. But I'm sure that there is something that he could have done, whether it's emotional or coming to look at the area, because I haven't been to the area to have a look at exactly how much damage has been done by the floods last year. We really do understand that there's a lot. I mean, he can't cover us all in time, but just having a look, like he's sending some stuff, because most of the people don't even have food. I mean, those are living with relatives. Some of them they don't work. They need extra food. They need blankets. They need a whole lot. Yeah, I think that he could have done a bit more as the mayor of eThekwini.
I mean, just reading, I know there's quite a concise investigation and article that Ground Up has done, which is a very interesting read, and I know you were part of it. But, they basically speak to the desperation of the villagers, and the villagers saying that they don't see anybody coming anywhere near the villages until it's voting time. And when it's voting time, you get visited. Other than that, nobody cares. I mean, is that how the villagers are feeling right now?
That is exactly how they're feeling right now. It's exactly how they're feeling, Leanne. They're actually waiting for people to come see them beginning of next year, because I think voting is next year, right?
Yeah.
So they're waiting for people to come and have a look at the area that they live in next year, because they're looking for votes.
Mm-hmm. Mayor, what about the villagers? I mean, these are real comments from people that are living on the ground. It's one thing speaking to you and hearing you speak from of what you have done, but the desperate citizens, the desperate villagers that have not seen or felt a single bit of empathy from the eThekwini municipality, this is their real told stories. What is your reaction to that?
What differentiates the metro of eThekwini with other metros in the Republic of South Africa is that we are 60% rural, informal settlement and township. So if you talk about our response to the floods, I've been to Mapepetweni area, I've been to Mzinyati, I've been to Mbumbulu, opening houses there of people that were built after the floods. So those are rural areas of our municipality. Yesterday I was at Umlazi, also delivering a house to Umamunda Wonde there at U section in Umlazi. So we are continuing to respond, but we understand that we have not yet reached as many people as we can in terms of services because of the magnitude of damages that occurred in the city. But there is work in progress and we are on the ground. The areas that she's talking about, rural areas, are the areas which we are also servicing. 2 bridges which have been constructed after the floods were in Bumbulu in Ward 100, which is a deep rural area. We've been to Ward 105, Omfume and other areas. So it shows that the city does not discriminate people who reside in rural areas. By the way, the caller that I have with me here is from the area where I also come from, Inanda. It may differ that maybe I'm on the part of the township of Inanda, but we've been to Inanda also handing over houses to people. In terms of the burials, because I heard this talking about the burials, there was an assistance from Motsepe Foundation of 30 million rands. That money was not allocated or transferred to the account of the municipality. Motsepe Foundation said we must submit the application for all families who need to be assisted, and that's what we did. All families who came to our offices at City Hall, they were able to be assisted with their burials through Motsepe Foundation, and we are grateful of that sponsorship and donation from Motsepe Foundation because it has assisted many families. But those families who could not come to us because we have made announcement even through public engagements, that people should come to our offices and we'll be in a better position to assist them to bury their loved ones with dignity.
Yeah. You mentioned the Motsepe Foundation, and I want to get clarity on this because the foundation is actually conducting an investigation on how this 30 million rand flood donation was utilized by the government. There's stories of the money being embezzled, corruption. You've promised to get to the bottom of it, but what's going on? Are you going to assist in the investigations? Where is that money when you hear people have not received a cent since the floods over a year ago now?
No, it is not true that people did not receive a cent.
Some people, let's just say that some people, not everybody, as you say, some people have not received a cent. We've heard that here.
Ngiphiwe has been saying that. Yeah. Who could not come forward through councillors, through our offices of municipality, and they were not assisted because we did not know where they were located. But those who came forward, because more than 400 families who lost their loved ones. So it's important that we welcome the investigation as a city with warm hands, because we have not been handling even a cent of this man, 30 million rands, as I've already alluded to the fact that it was never transferred to our bank account. It was managed by a committee which was established by President Motsepe and his foundation, which was managing all these requests and also approving the request from the members of the public. So as a city, we really welcome the investigation and we cooperate with any investigation, but unfortunately, there's no cent which landed on our bank account. So therefore, we cannot account for the money which was not on our side, which was managed by the foundation.
Okay, so you're saying that this has nothing to do with you. So this is the Motsepe Foundation. It's gone missing from their side. You never received that money. That was what you're saying right now.
Yes, there was assistance in twofold. Motsepe Foundation intervened to hire the water tankers for the municipality for certain areas in the city. When they introduced the donation of 30 million rands, they put it clear that this is only for the purposes of burials, to assist families, grieving families with their burials. So therefore, as a city, we agreed and we said we'll be submitting those requests from members of the community. So therefore, there's no foul play on our side of what we've been submitting, because we're submitting the requests from members of the community. If it happens that some members of the community, they were not telling the truth, but everything was verified through SABC in terms of the bodies which were received by SABC mortuaries. So therefore, before we even submit such, we had to verify that these families have been affected by floods. Because there are many people who came to our offices and said, we need assistance, but who were not part of the victims of the floods, who just took the opportunity because they heard that there is a donation that is made available for that purpose. All
right, we unfortunately have to leave it there. But Mayor, thank you for talking to us. Thanks for coming through. And also, Ngiphiwe, I thank you for your bravery in coming through and talking to us as well. But one thing I want to get before we go, Mayor, do you promise us that you will go and visit the Inanda community right now? That's where you come from, not the township, the villagers, the people that feel that they have not received a thing from you. Will you promise that you will go and see them?
We've been in these areas, and we would like to request that the caller also interact with the councillor. But if it's possible, if you can take her details and give those details to us, to our communication team, we'll be following it up. Yeah. There's no community that will be neglected by the city. We are here to serve our people with our capacity and capabilities to do so.
We will put the two of you in touch and hopefully you'll be able to assist. Thank you. Thanks both of you for being with us here on the program.